Today we are going to begin a new series of videos based on the Lone Wolf series, a choose-your-own-adventure novel series from back in the 1980s. I have never actually read this series before. I did this first book yesterday because I was curious about it, but we're going to continue. We're going to do this book and continue on, and I have not read any of the subsequent ones. A choose-your-own-adventure novel, if you're not familiar, is a book that allows you to kind of make choices as you read. And based on the choices that you make as you read the book, you flip to different pages to get different results. The unique thing about this one is that this actually includes a combat system that requires you to maintain a character sheet. So that's kind of cool and interesting. I've never seen that before. So we're going to begin this adventure novel series today and see how far we can make it before we die. So... I hope you're interested in this kind of content. Please make sure you let me know in the comments. If you are more interested in the very visually stimulating stuff like the DCS or the video games and things like that, this may not be the content for you, but I invite you to try and stick it out anyways to see if the story catches your attention. So without further ado, let's go ahead and read Lone Wolf. All right, so the story so far. In the northern land of Summerland, it has been the custom for many centuries to send the children of the warrior lords to the monastery, Kai. There they are taught the skills and disciplines of their noble fathers. The Kai monks are masters of their art, and the children in their charge love and respect them in spite of the hardships of their training. For one day, when they have finally learnt the skills of the Kai, they will return to their homes equipped in mind and body to defend themselves against the constant threat of war from the Dark Lords of the West. In olden times, during the Age of the Black Moon, the Dark Lords waged war on Summerland. The conflict was long and a bitter rival of strength that ended in victory for the Sumlingden at the Great Battle of Makengorge. King Ulnar and the allies of the Doranor broke the Darkland armies at the pass of Moitura and forced them back into the bottomless pit of Makengorge. Vashna, mightiest of the Dark Lords, was slain upon the sword of King Ulnar, called Summer Sword, the Sword of the Sun. Since that age, the Dark Lords have vowed vengeance upon Summerland and the house of Ulnar. Now it is the morning of the feast of Feymarn, when all of the Kai Lords are present at the monastery for the celebrations. Suddenly, a great black cloud comes out of the western skies. So many are the numbers of the black-winged beasts that fill the sky that the sun is completely hidden. The Dark Lords, ancient enemy of the Sumlingden, are attacking. War has begun. On this fateful morning, you, Silent Wolf, the name given to you by the Kai, have been sent to collect firewood in the forest as a punishment for your inattention in class. As you are preparing to return, you see to your horror a vast cloud of black leathery creatures swooping down to engulf the monastery. Dropping the wood, you race to the battle that has already begun, but in the unnatural dark you stumble and strike your head on a low tree branch. As you lose consciousness, the last thing you see in the poor light is the walls of the monastery crashing to the ground. Many hours pass before you awake. With tears in your eye, you now survey the scene of destruction. Raising your face to the clear sky, you swear vengeance on the Dark Lords for the massacre of the Kai warriors, and with a sudden flash of realization, you know what you must do. You must set off on a perilous journey to the capital to warn the king of the terrible threat that now faces his people. For you are now the last of the Kai. You are now the Lone Wolf. So that's our prelude kind of thing, and the next few pages are going to be a bunch of stuff so that we can fill out this character sheet that we have here. The actual action chart that was provided, this is called the action chart, that's what they call their character sheet in this book. The actual action chart was something that they had in the book itself where you could actually write it in when you had the book with a pencil. A lot of the stuff was meant to be done with using a pencil and paper. But I sat down and came up with a format that at least works for me. If you like this, I'll try to figure. You can feel free to copy it. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. I don't have any kind of file storage that makes it that I can make it available to other people. So sorry. All right. So as it says here, we're going to keep a record of our adventure on the action chart. We gained 2 skills as during our training as a Kai Lord: combat skill and endurance. So you can pause the video and read through this if you want. I don't want to waste a bunch of video time going through this. But basically, we have one number. And actually, let me get my dice out, because the way you're actually supposed to do this is that they have this random number table. And back in the day, you would just take your pencil, you would close your eyes, hold the pencil over the chart, and then put it down. And then whatever number you got, that was the number that you got. But since this is a digital product right now, and that feels kind of hokey to me, and I'm a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons, have been all my life, we're just going to use a nice shiny little D10. So that's how we're going to come up with our random numbers for this. So the first number that we have to get is for our combat skill. We pick a random number between the 1 and the 10. Everything's between 1 and 10. And we just add 10 to that number. So I'm going to roll the die here. That's a 3. So we're going to add 10 to that to get a combat skill of 13. Come on. And then for endurance, you can see we add 20 to the number to get our endurance. So let's go ahead and roll the D10. And that's a 6. So we will have a 26 endurance. So 26. And then to make sure, they make a big deal about how the fact that this maximum number is never going to change. So we're going to put 26 here so that we can always remember, because we're going to keep track of our hit points from our battles on this side, and then the maximum on this side. Okay, and when you're wounded in combat, you lose endurance points, and if you fall to 0 or below, you die. That ends the adventure. So if we end the adventure in this really shortly, that's what's going to happen. There's no experience points in this. The only possibility that you have to gain in this series of books, as far as I can tell, are interesting items or money or things like that. So we have to be very careful about the battles that we choose to engage in. Okay, over the centuries, Kai monks have mastered the skills of the warrior. These skills are known as Kai disciplines, and they are taught to all Kai lords. You have only learnt 5 of the skills below. The choice of which 5 skills are for us to make. They can be used to save our life at some point. I don't want to read word for word for the character creation process. So camouflage, so at certain points during the book, you're going to be in a certain situation, and one of the options for you to choose is to use a skill. So let's say camouflage. They say, would you like to use your camouflage? If you would like to use your camouflage in this situation, turn to this page. If you would like to fight, turn to this page. If you'd like to run away, turn to this page. That's how the things work. So for camouflage is going to be one of those ones that it'll provide us with an action. Hunting at different points during the adventure, we will be told that we need to eat. We're hungry and we need to eat. We have meals that we can track, and those take up spots in our backpack. We can hold up to 8 items. Hunting is a very good thing to have as one of your Kai abilities, because it makes it so that when those meal requests or meal requirements come up, you don't have to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one now. No meals required. I'm just going to put that in there as the effect. Sixth Sense is another one of those ones that'll come up in a situational basis. It gives you more information. Tracking allows you to it's kind of like a shortcut option that allows you to go straight towards what it is you're trying to go to. Healing allows you to restore endurance. This will make more sense as we go through the adventure. I'm definitely going to take this one because it is extremely helpful. You get +1 endurance each non-combat page. So every page that we read that has no combat in it, we get an endurance back. That's what that means. Weapon skill. Upon entering the Kai Monastery, weapon skill basically just gives you proficiency. If you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, it gives you proficiency in whatever weapon it is. Unfortunately, you don't get to choose. You roll a d10, and whatever number comes up, that's the one you're proficient in. And if you happen to get lucky and you're carrying the weapon that you need, then that's great. If not, then you don't. So this is highly random, and we would use up a whole skill slot trying to do that. Mind Shield makes you immune to the mind attacks of the enemy. Mind Blast gives you a +2 combat skill against any enemy that is not immune to Mind Blast. So I am actually going to pick... I'm going to pick Mind Blast because it's going to make us stronger. So it's going to be +2 to non-immune, just so we can remember what that means. And then we could do Mind Shield, which will protect us from enemies that have that, but no points lost when attacked by a Mind Blast. Or Animal Kinship is another situational option, and Mind Over Matter is going to be the same thing. The way I think about Mind Over Matter, it's like a telekinesis thing. It allows you to pick up small objects from a distance. So, you know, the scenario in my mind is, oh, we're in a jail cell and they hung the keys on the rung and you use your power to bring the keys over. It's like using the force. Where we have, 1, 2, 3, we can do 2 more. I'm actually going to go ahead and pick Mind Shield. immune to Mind Blast. I'm also going to pick Mind over Matter. Move small objects. Okay, so that's our that's the Kai disciplines that we're going to pick for this one. Equipment. You are dressed in a green tunic and a cloak of the Kai Initiate. You have little with you to arm yourself for survival. All you possess is an axe, which we need to put under our weapons, and a backpack containing 1 meal. And hanging from our waist is a leather pouch containing gold crowns. To find out how many, pick a number from the random number table, which means roll the die. We have 9. That's a lot. Okay. Oh, that doesn't apply. Because I was tracking meals here, but then it said that meals take up space in the backpack. So there's that. You discover amongst the smoking ruins of the monastery a map of Summerland. And as a matter of fact, I should probably bring that up. So let me get back. Dark map. Gotta find it. I forgot that was one of the things I needed to have up so that you guys could see it. Actually, okay, so we'll have to minimize. I have this set up so that the spreadsheet's on top and the story's over here, but okay, so this is the map. We are here, and we need to get to the castle down here. So we're gonna travel all the way down here. All right, let's get back to what we were doing. So we have the map. Note under special items. So I will come down here. Map of Summerland. Map of the game area, game world, something like that. Okay, and then we also get one more item from this list of items, basically, and it's going to be a roll of the die to see what we get. 0, the broadsword. Well, that would have been nice. Broadsword. All right, so now we have an axe and a broadsword. That's going to be helpful. Okay, and then there's a bunch of technical stuff here that you can read through if you decide to play this adventure on your own. We don't really need to go through that right now. Yeah, so weapons, backpack items, special items, gold crowns, food. We can have a maximum of 50 gold crowns, just so you're aware. Food's not going to be an issue for us because we took the hunting option, but you would lose 3 endurance points if you don't have any food when they say, oh, you need to eat now. And then there'll be healing potions that we can find as we go through, and they'll restore hit points. All right, rules for combat. This is going to be kind of different for most people. Enemies, when you fight them, will come with a combat skill and endurance points. They'll show up in the chart. It'll show up on the page. They'll tell you what they are. So basically, all you're going to do is you're going to take your total combat, right? And you're going to subtract your enemy's combat from it, and then you're going to take that number, positive or negative, and you're going to find that number over here on this corresponding combat ratio sheet. That's going to tell you what your combat ratio is. So they give us an example here to make it easy to follow. So Lone Wolf has a combat skill of 15, and he is ambushed by a winged devil combat skill of 20. So you basically take, he's saying that because we have the Mind Blast skill, that adds 2 to our combat skill, which makes us have a 17. So you take 17, and you subtract the enemy's combat skill, and that puts us at a -3. So that is our combat ratio. So we come over here and we find -3. So we're going to be using this column for this fight. And basically the way it works is that for every round of combat that you do, you roll the die, or in the book you do the little put the pencil down thing. But for our purposes, we're going to roll the die, and whatever number we roll, we come down to and find on the chart. We cross-reference it to the number that we have here. The top number here is always the enemy. The top number here is always us, and that's how much damage each of us takes. So if we rolled a 6 with a -3 ratio, our enemy would take 6 damage, and we would take 3 damage. And you just keep doing that over and over again until one of you dies or you decide to run away, and that's how combat works. So super easy, just requires a little bit of remembering how it works. For evasion of combat, during your adventure, you may be given the chance to evade combat. So I'm not going to read all of this. Basically, you can run away at any point unless you're told that this is a fight to the death encounter. Then you are not able to run away. So there's certain fights where you're not going to be able to run away. You're committed, and if you make it, you make it, and if you don't, you don't. Okay, so all of that said, they're going to go over the levels of Kai training. There's up to 10 levels. We only have 5 because that's what we're starting with. And All right, so your mission will be one of great danger, for the Dark Lords and their servants are a cruel and fierce enemy who give and expect no mercy. Use the map to help you steer a correct course for the capital. Make notes as you progress through the story, for they will be of great help in future adventures. Many things that you find will aid you during the adventure. Some special items will be of use in future lone wolf adventures, and others may be red herrings of no real use at all. So be selective in what you decide to keep. There are many routes to the king, but only one involves a minimum of danger. With a wise choice of Kai disciplines and a great deal of courage, any player should be able to complete the mission, no matter how weak their initial combat skill or endurance point score. The honor and memory of the Kai Lords will go with you on your perilous journey. Good luck. All right, so we have finished the character creation process, and we have finished all of the initial intro stuff, so let's go ahead and get into the actual story. You must make haste, for you sense it is not safe to linger by the smoking remains of the ruined monastery. The black-winged beast could return at any moment. You must set out for the Sumlingden capital of Holmgard and tell the king the terrible news of the massacre. That the whole elite of Kai warriors, save yourself, have been slaughtered. Without the Kai Lords to lead her armies, Summerland will be at the mercy of the ancient enemies, the Dark Lords. Fighting back tears, you bid farewell to your dead kinsmen. Silently, you promise that their deaths will be avenged. You turn away from the ruins and carefully descend the steep track. At the foot of the hill, the path splits in two directions, both leading into a large wood. So, as I said before, there will be certain ones that are specific to if you have certain abilities. If you wish to use your Kai discipline of Sixth Sense, turn to page 141. If you wish to take the right path into the wood, turn to 85, and if you wish to follow the left track, turn to 275. So, using the map in this game, or in this book, really does make a difference. So, we are here, and we need to go southeast down to here. So the options that we have are, we can take the right path into the wood or follow the left track. So I don't need this cover anymore. So I'm assuming that we're kind of facing off in this direction, and we don't want to go left, we kind of want to go right. So we will go ahead and take the right path into the wood. The path is wide and leads straight into thick undergrowth. The trees are tall here and unusually quiet. You walk for over a mile when suddenly you hear the beating of large wings directly above you. Looking up, you are shocked to see the sinister black outline of a Kron diving to attack you, which I assume are these leathery beasts, these flying leathery beasts that were flying back to the monastery. If you draw your weapon and prepare to fight, we can draw. I'm not going to say the page numbers. If we can draw our weapon and prepare to fight, or we can evade the attack by running south deeper into the forest, which is exactly what we're going to do. You dive into the undergrowth just as the beast screams past your head. You quickly look back to see the Kron turning in the air in preparation for another dive. You scramble to your feet and run deeper into the safety of the forest. And move on to another page. As you go on, you discover a forest path that divides at the point that you join it. We don't have tracking, so we can't use this one. We can go south or east. Using the map, we generally want to go in a south or easterly direction. I'm going to say we want to go, we went south. Let's just continue in the direction that we went, because that feels more natural, and maybe we'll eventually get to this river that we can follow over. I feel like the road is going to be more monitored by enemies there. So let's go south and see if we can get to this river. We'll go to the South Fork. You are in a clearing where several trees have been cut down to make a rickety watchtower. Below the tower are 3 paths leading off in different directions. We can go south, east, southwest, or we can try to climb the watchtower. I'm a dungeon delver at heart. We're going to go ahead and see what's up with the watchtower. The old watchtower ladder is rotten and several rungs break as you climb. Pick a number from the random number table. So we roll our die. We rolled a 1. If the number is 4 or lower, you have fallen. Lose 2 endurance points and turn to page 140. So now we have to bring up our endurance page and come down by 2 endurance. So we have 24, which actually isn't that bad. And we have to turn to page 140. You are in a clearing. Oh, we're back to where we were. So we could try to make another. We could try to make another attempt at getting up at to the top of the watchtower. I'm not sure if I want to, though, because if we keep rolling low, well, I don't know, the odds are with us. Let's try it one more time, and if we don't make it, we'll keep going. And this is also technically a page where no combat happens, so we get a hit point back. Okay, so let's try to climb the Watchtower again. We just need a 5. We need a 5 or higher. And we rolled a 4 again. All right, we're gonna let this one go because clearly the odds are not with us. Okay, like I said, we're gonna continue south. Or no, there's a southwest path. So I don't know where the tower is here, but we're generally wanting to go in a southwest direction. So let's go ahead and take southwest. You emerge into a small clearing. In the center, you see the skeletal remains of a large animal. To the south, a narrow track leads off into the distance. If you wish to examine the skeleton, we can examine the skeleton or press on. Well, obviously, we're going to be curious about a dead animal, so let's go ahead and check it out. Lodged deep in the rib cage of the skeleton is a spear. It is in good condition, and you may take it if you wish and are able to. So we would have to drop one of our weapons. I can't imagine the spear is going to be... I don't know how realistic or like survival based that this is going to be. And an axe can be very useful in very certain situations. And then we have our broadsword for fighting. So I don't think we really need to switch out for the spear. We'll leave that there and just hold on to our broadsword. You reach the top of a small wooded hill on which several large boulders form a rough circle. Suddenly, you hear a growl from behind a rock to your left. We can draw our weapon and prepare to fight, or we can take evasive action by running as fast as we can over the next hill. I don't want to keep you guys bored out of your mind by just randomly running things, so let's turn and prepare to fight, and if we need to run, hopefully we can run. From behind the rock, a huge black bear comes into view. It advances slowly toward you, its mouth open and its face lined in anger and pain. You notice that it is badly wounded and bleeding from its neck and back. You must fight it. It doesn't say... Oh, it says we must fight it. Does that mean... It doesn't say fight to the death, though. I'm pretty sure it said fight to the death if you have to fight it. If you have to fight it to the death. Oh, it says after 3 rounds of combat, you position yourself so that we can run. So we have to fight for at least 3 rounds, and then we can run. So here we go. So this is how combat works, okay? We have this... So I have 2 different ones because this is all separated up into 2 pages. But there's a combat record section where you can track your fights, right? So since my head is in the way of this one, I'm going to put it over here on this one. So our endurance points right now are... Oh, hold on. Let's see. We took damage... Yeah, we took damage way back here. So we've had enough pages by the time we got to this point that we should be full up on hit points. So let's go ahead and fill up our hit points. So we have 26. The enemy has a 10 endurance. Their combat skill is 16, while ours is 13. So that gives... but we also get the Mind Blast, right? So we always have to remember to Mind Blast. So I'm actually going to put a 13/15, so we don't have to... So it'll remind us every time we do combat. So 15 for this combat versus the 16 for that. That puts us at a -1 combat ratio. Okay, so combat, like I said, is basically just a bunch of die rolls and you hope for the best. So we are going to be using the -1 column over here. So for our first round of combat, we're going to roll. That is going to be a 3. So for a 3 on the -1, we each take 4 damage. So that brings us down to 22. And the bear comes down to 6. Ew. Okay. Let's see. We gotta roll again. A 0, which is actually the highest number that we can do. So for a 0, we deal 11 damage. We take 0 damage, and they take 11 damage. So that's an instant death for the bear there. Sorry, bear. Unfortunately, I had to fight you for 3 rounds, and you just got unlucky. So if we win, we turn to page 195. Wiping the bear's blood from your weapon, you notice the mouth of a cave hidden behind the rock from which the bear attacked. If you wish to we can investigate or press on bypassing the cave. I'm curious to know if there's anything interesting in there, so let's go check it out. Peering into the darkness, you notice that rough stairs have been cut through the earth and that the mouth of the cave is in fact the entrance to a tunnel. Carefully descending the slippery stairway, you notice a small silver box on a shelf at the bottom of the staircase. We can open the box, return to the surface, or investigate the tunnel further. Obviously, you gotta see what's in the box. Come on. Inside the box, you find 15 gold crowns and a silver key. Absolutely. So, I don't do math very well, so we're just gonna get equals 9 plus 15. That gives me 24 gold crowns. Okay, and we also get a silver key, which we can add... Remember to mark it on your action chart. It doesn't say that it's a special item, so we're just going to put silver key in our backpack. We can investigate the tunnel, or we can leave and descend the hill. I'm going to continue down the tunnel, because what if there's more stuff in here? Come on. We're loot hobos, right? You walk along a dimly lit corridor, which opens into a large square room with an oak door on the far wall. We don't have the Sixth Sense discipline, so this option is not available to us. So we can either walk across to the door, or we can return, or we can chicken out and return to the surface. We're going to press on. As you reach the door, you hear the crash of a giant stone slab as it falls from the ceiling. Turning around, you see that your exit is now blocked. So we are now trapped in this cave. Great. If we have the silver key, we can try to open the door. And if we don't, we have to turn to page 259. But we do have the silver key, so let's go ahead and do that. The key fits and the lock opens. You pull back the door to find yourself face to face with a strange old man. In his right hand is a staff. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning shoots from the staff and hits you square in the chest. You lose 6 endurance points. Jeez. Gasping with pain, you knock the old man aside and run up the staircase toward daylight. You are halfway up the stairs when he fires another bolt at you. So we have to roll a random number. If it's between 0 and 5, the bolt misses. If it's 6 to 9, we get hit and take another 4 points of damage. That's a 2. So we got lucky. We didn't get any more damage. That's good. If you survive, you stagger out into the daylight and curse your bad luck. It was only by an unlucky chance you discovered the secret temple of a sect of evil druids. You are very lucky to have escaped with your life. You quickly rejoin the path, which now disappears over the hill. So basically, we didn't really get anything out of all of that. We lost 6 hit points of damage, and yeah, there's that. That really sucks. But here's a nice picture of the key that we picked up. So we have a nice little silver key that we can probably have to drop later. Eventually, you come to the edge of a fast-flowing icy stream. The white water cascades over the mossy rocks and disappears toward the east. So, the stream flows in this direction, which looks like it's heading towards Holmgard. So we're definitely going to want to continue tracking in that direction. So let's follow the stream to the east. Carefully, you follow the stream as it makes its way toward the east. Suddenly, you notice something in the distance that brings you to a halt. Lying in the rushing water like a great black dam is a dead Kron. You creep nearer under the cover of the foliage until you see 3 arrows deep in the beast's chest. Trapped beneath the beast is the body of its rider. It is a Giak, a spiteful and malicious servant of the Dark Lords. Many centuries ago, their ancestors were used by the Dark Lords to build the infernal city of Helgadad, which lies in the volcanic wastelands beyond the Dern Crag range of mountains. The construction of the city was a long and torturous nightmare, and only the strongest Giaks survived the heat and poisonous atmospheres of Helgadad. This creature is a descendant of these Giak slaves. It seems that this one must have drowned. The Giak's pouch contains 3 gold crowns, which we are definitely going to take. So that's what, 27? You may continue downstream, or we can leave the stream and make our way on foot through the wooded hills to the south. I don't think that makes much sense because we're still on this side of the road. I would imagine they would tell us if we got to the road or not. So we should continue downstream and hope that we find something that helps us get where we're going. We have reached a small bridge. The track follows the stream towards the east. A much narrower path disappears into the thick forest towards the south. So, oh no. Like I said, the roads are going to be watched. Streams probably not so much, but at the same time, I feel like we're probably going to encounter a lot more as we get towards the cap. I don't know. Let's go ahead and head to this. Let's go ahead and follow the track from this point, because I think that's where we are. But it's a track. It's not a road. It says it's a track. A much narrow path that disappears into the thick forest towards the south. But this is the bridge, so it's got to be this main road. Let's follow the road. The forest begins to thin out until finally you can make out a road through the trees ahead. The highway is full of people heading south. Many are wheeling their possessions along with the handcarts. So we can join the refugees and see if we can learn about what's going on. Or we can stay off the road and stay under the cover of trees. Let's go talk to the people. A little bit of information can't hurt. The people look tired and hungry. They have come many miles from their burning city. Suddenly, you hear the beat of huge wings coming from the north. Kron! Kron, hide yourselves! The cry goes all along the road. Just in front of you, a wagon carrying small children breaks down, its right wheel jammed in a furrow. The children scream in panic. So we can help the children or try to save ourselves. I think as high people we're supposed to help. So let's go ahead and we're going to help them. But before, yeah, okay. You sprint towards the wagon. People are running everywhere in panic as the Kron makes their attack, carrying their poor victims off into the darkening sky. A large Kron is hovering above the wagon, and 3 snarling Giaks drop from its back onto the startled horses. You must fight them or leave the wagon and run for the safety of the nearby farmhouse. Okay, well, clearly we're not going to leave these children to be killed by these Giaks, so we're going to have to fight. So let's figure out how many hit points we healed since the last time we took damage. I have to imagine it's at least 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Okay, so that's 6. Okay, so we can get our 6 hit points back. We're at full health. At least we're going into this fight with full hit points. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, the ghoulish creatures thrust their spears at you and attack. Fight these creatures as a single enemy. So basically, we're fighting 3 dudes, and that's what's going on. So we have 26 health. They have 13. Our combat ratio is going to be equal, so our combat ratio is 0. So we are going to use the 0 chart for our combat ratio. So let's go ahead and fight. If you win, you can run to the safety of the farmhouse, or you can return to the woods. Let's do this. We rolled a 2. So for the 2 on 0, we each take 4 damage. So we are now down to 22, 0, and they take 4 from 13 is 9. Okay. More. 5. They take 7 and we take 2. So that's 20, 0, and they're down to 2 hit points. All right, we should kill them this time. 2 again. We each take 4 damage, right? Ugh. I knew we were going to win, but it's like taking extra damage just sucks. All right, so that's it for them. So we slash and slash and slash, and we're able to take them all down with our broadsword. So let's go ahead and run to the safety of the farmhouse. We need some cover from these flying monsters. Kicking open the door, you dive into the farmhouse. A cran soars overhead, letting out a shriek of victory. A victim hanging in its claws. Getting to your feet, you find yourself alone, but propped against the fireplace is a warhammer. You may take this weapon if you wish. Well, we already have the broadsword, and in this game, individual weapons don't have any effect. It just, if you don't have a weapon, you lose 4 combat skill, and if you have specialization, which we don't, you gain 2, so it doesn't matter what weapon we have. Hold on to it. We can stay in the farmhouse, or we can try to make a run for the forest, or we can continue to search the room. Well, we definitely want to search the room. If there's things in here that can help us, we find those things, right? Most of the cupboards and drawers are empty. Whoever lived here took nearly everything they owned with them, but you do manage to scrape together enough fruit in the cellar for 1 meal. So we'll go ahead and add this meal. We turn to 81. After nearly an hour, the Kran and their cruel riders vanish toward the west. As the shocked refugees start to emerge from the woods, you can hear the sound of horses in the distance galloping nearer. You stay hidden and wait as the riders come closer. They are the cavalry of the King's Guard wearing the white uniforms of His Majesty's army. Now we can call to them, or we can just let them go, or we can continue along the forest edge towards the south. Well, definitely we want to talk to the King's Guards. They're going to be able to help us in some way, I hope. The officer orders his men to halt and asks you your business. You tell him who you are and how the monastery has been destroyed. He is deeply saddened to hear your news. He offers you a horse and asks you to accompany him to Prince Pelethar, the king's son. Well, definitely we're going to take a horse. Come on. Ahead of you, you see a fierce battle raging across a stone bridge. The clash of steel and the cries of men and beasts echo through the forest. In the midst of the fighting, you see Prince Pelethar, the king's son. He is in combat with a large gray Gorgaz, who is wielding a black axe above his scaly head. Suddenly, the prince falls wounded, a black arrow in his side. So we can defend the fallen prince, or we can run to the forest. Well, clearly we're not going to let the prince die. We need to save him, because he's the prince. Come on. The creature that you now face is a Gorgaz, one of the race of cold-blooded reptilian creatures that dwell deep in the treachery. We were down to 16, right? Sorry, I hate to interrupt the narrative that way, but now we're going to fight, and we need to figure out what our hit points were. We had 16 hit points when we finished that battle. Let's see. Let's figure out where were we when we last fought. Okay, so there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. We're only up to 21. That kind of sucks. All right. I'll read that again. Sorry. The creature that you now face is a Gorgaz, one of the race of cold-blooded reptilian creatures that dwell deep in the treacherous Mackenmire swamps. Their favorite food is human flesh. The prince's sword lies at your feet. You may pick it up and use this weapon if you wish. The Gorgaz is about to strike at you. You must fight him to the death. Ooh. All right. This is going to be a pivotal battle here. We have 21 hit points. His combat skill is 20 and ours is 15. So we are fighting at a -5. This is going to suck. Okay, and it is immune to Mind Blast. That means we have to use the 13 number, which means we're at a -7? The -7? So he has a combat skill of 20. We have a combat skill of 13. So, that's -7. We might not survive this one. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Well, here we go. Roll high. Roll high. That's a 6. A 6 should be okay. So we're at -7 and 6. So he takes 4 and we take 5. Ooh, that's gonna be really bad. That's gonna be really bad. Okay. We take 4. So 21 minus 4 is what? 17. -7. And he takes. Wait. What was it? We had -7. He takes 5 and we take 4. But at least we're dealing. It was a 6. No, it was the other way around. We rolled a 6, right? 4. He takes 4 and we take 5. So 21, 2019, 18, 17, 16. Ooh, this is not going to go well. He's down to 26. Okay. Ooh. Oh, we rolled a 1. We rolled a 1. He takes nothing and we take 8 damage. We're down to 8. He's at 26. Okay, come on. 4. That's not, yeah. I think we're gonna die here. He takes 2 damage. 4 minus 7. What was it? We rolled a 4. We take 6 damage. We're down to 2 hit points. This is not going well. Oh, we rolled a 10. Okay. 10 for the negative. He takes 8 damage. So 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 16. 6, so he's down to 16. That's -7. We still have 2 because he did no damage to us. Come on. 4. Well, unfortunately. All right, so for the purposes of narration, we're going to mark that, or for the purposes of all of this, we're going to say that we died, technically died, but I want you guys to get the story. So we died. I'm not going to BS you there. We did die, but we're going to assume that we somehow squeaked out a victory because the whole point is to go through the story, and if you die, we're not going to go back through all that stuff again. So technically we died, but let's assume that we won. I wonder if there's something that we could do to make it fair so that when we die, that we don't have to, because we don't, like, I could go back and just redo it all over again, but you guys aren't gonna watch all of that, watch going back, because basically all we would do is make the same choices to get back here again and just hope better next time. So we're going to just say that we died and we did the story over again and we're back to this point. And we'll continue on. But there needs to be some kind of consequence to us dying. So I'm not really sure what that's going. Well, let's see. We can lose money. There needs to be some kind of consequence. I'm not really sure what I want that to be, but it needs to be something that actually has some kind of consequence. So let's say we lose a weapon. We lose half of our inventory. I don't know. You guys can leave a comment down below what you think a fair. I'm gonna minimize our gold. Minimize our gold. Leave a comment down below what you think a fair like respawn would be for what we're doing here, because It's great that the adventure is over and you get a chance to redo it, but for the purposes of the YouTube videos that we're doing here, we're going through a story, so I don't want to waste a bunch of time going back and redoing and doing another video trying to make another attempt. So that'll be what we're doing. For this time, I'll take away a weapon, and I'll reduce our gold down to something close to what would have been reasonable for the beginning of the game, and we'll take away 1 or 2 items from our backpack. So let's just do that. But let's just say that this time we got through the fight. And, I mean, technically, I guess we should fight him again, but this video is getting long, and I don't want you guys to have to wait for the story. So we'll continue going. I know it's kind of lame, but we'll do it that way. If you have any ideas for how we can deal with dying in this storyline, because I don't really want to follow the book way of doing it, let me know in the comments, and we can try to come up with a fair way of making it. All right, so the giant Gorgaz lies, because eventually we'd defeat the Gorgaz with enough attempts. The giant Gorgaz lies dead at your feet. His evil followers hiss at you and then fall back from the bridge. The prince's soldiers form a protective wall around you and their dying leader with their shields. The black arrows whistle past your head. The dying prince looks up into your eyes and says, "Kai, Lord, you must take a message to my father. The enemy is too strong. We cannot hold him. The king must seek that which is in Duranor, or all is lost. Take my horse and ride for the capital. May the luck of the gods ride with you." You bid a sad farewell to the prince, mount his white steed, and head south along the forest path. The battle still rages behind you as the prince's men fight off another assault on the bridge. The prince's horse is indeed a magnificent animal, fast and sure of foot. You gallop along the twisting track as if it were a straight highway until the noise of the battle has disappeared far behind you. You are hungry and must eat a meal, which doesn't apply to us because we have the hunting option. After several miles, the path stops abruptly at a junction. There is a signpost, but it has been hacked down. So since we don't have tracking, we can't use that, so we have to pick left or right. Where are we on the map? We are running down this road. Left would be this way, right would be this way, so I'm going to say left is probably the way we... Right. You have ridden about 3 miles when, in the distance, you spot the unmistakable silhouette of 5 large doom wolves. Riding on their backs are Giaks. They seem to be going on ahead to where the path leads down into an open meadow. Suddenly, one of the Giaks leaves the others and begins to ride back along the path towards you. So we can hide, or we can try to fight them. We're definitely going to hide, because we had bad luck with that last battle. You hide beneath some thick bushes so that the doom wolf and its rider will not see your white horse. Luckily, it works. The beast lopes past and vanishes down the track that you have just come along. We can attack the remaining doom wolves, or we can press deeper into the forest. Well, like we said, we're not trying to fight these dudes. Let's push deeper into the forest. We ride deeper and deeper into the forest. Silently, you thank the prince for such a fine horse, for although the ground is a tangle of briars and roots, he never once falters. The doom wolves are soon left far behind, and you bring your horse to a halt. The light has faded fast, and it is almost night. We can press on ahead, or we can bear to the left in the same direction as the path you left far behind. So basically, do we want to try to press on with the trail? I think we should try to follow the trail. We're trying to get down the road. You soon emerge from the woods onto the main highway. You recognize it as being the main road between the port of Torin in the north and the capital in the south. Spurring your horse on, you estimate you will reach the capital by morning. As you ride along the highway, you notice that the light is getting worse. It will soon be completely dark, and impossible to see any dangers that may lurk ahead. You decide to hide and rest at the wood's edge until morning. When you are satisfied no one can see you, you pull your warm green cloak about you and drift off into an uneasy sleep. You are awoken by the cries of Kron high above you in the clear morning sky. Rubbing your eyes, you peer upwards through the canopy of branches and see 3 of the loathsome creatures flying off to the south. You are sure you have not been spotted, but perhaps it would be best to leave now just in case. You mount your horse and ride south along the highway. You have ridden several miles and you have seen no sign of refugees or enemy. You race on toward the high ridge in the middle distance. You should be able to see the capital from there. As you reach the peak, the sight that meets you on the far side is one of hope, but there is still one challenge you know you have to face. Before you are the tall... Sorry, I got confused. Before you are the tall, gray-white walls and glimmering spires of Holmgard. The city's banners fluttering from the battlements in the fresh morning breeze. Stretching out toward the west, the river Elidel Eladil traces its course from the mountains of Derncrag Range to the Home Gulf. But below the mountain peaks, you can see a vast army marching relentlessly toward the capital. To your right, you can see a highway heading off toward the rolling plains towards Holmgard. At a gallop, you can make the outer fieldwork of the city's defenses in less than an hour, but you would be in the open for most of the time and vulnerable to attack by Kron. Directly ahead of you, a wide river drifts sluggishly toward the Eladil. If you abandoned your horse, you could swim toward the outer defenses under cover of the riverbanks. Or there is a final alternative. To your left lies the graveyard of the ancients. These tombs and crumbling monuments to a forgotten age would conceal your approach, but it is a forbidden area. Many are the unnamed horrors that lie there in restless sleep, waiting to consume the unwary trespasser. Well, clearly we're not going into the undead area. That would be ridiculous. We could take the highway, or we could try to hide in the river. I think with an army around us, being out in the open probably isn't the best way to go. But at the same time, if we're swimming in the river and something attacks us, we're going to be in a pretty bad spot. And it's probably going to take us much longer to get there. So that's kind of a hard decision. Because I don't think you're supposed to think about the fact that if we're in the river and something decides to attack us, how are we supposed to fight? How are we supposed to get out of the river? We have a horse. I think we're going to try the highway. I know that doesn't sound like the best option, but I don't like the idea of being in the river if something decides to something big stumbles upon us. So at least on the highway, we could try to make a run for it. Let's go on the highway. Urging your horse forward, you gallop down the long stretch of highway toward the capital. After only a few minutes, your horse suddenly slows and finally limps to a halt. You dismount and examine its right foreleg. You curse your ill luck, for you see that it has thrown a shoe and injured its hoof quite badly. You will have to leave him here and proceed on foot as quickly as you can, because of course. Bracing yourself for the run, you head off down the ridge at a steady pace. To the west, the army of the Dark Lords looks like a giant pot of black ink that has been spilled between the mountains and is spreading to the land below. You have been running for 20 minutes when you catch sight of a pack of doom wolves lining a shallow ridge to your right. We can flatten ourselves against a rock and hope that they pass, or we can just try to keep on running and keep our weapon out in case they attack. I'm a big fan of hiding from groups of monsters, so let's hide. You are lucky. They do not seem to have spotted you. They slowly move on and have soon disappeared along the far side of the ridge. You continue to run. You are sweating and your legs ache. In the middle distance, you can see a group of cottages. We can enter the cottage and rest, or we can press on. Let's go ahead and enter the cottage. Maybe we'll find something in there that'll help us. You stumble into the first building and fall to the floor exhausted. You can smell cooked meat. You notice a small cauldron hanging over the embers of a dying fire, and a large oak table that has been set for a meal. Whoever lived here must have left in a great hurry this very morning. There is water in a jug and a loaf of fresh bread on the table. We can take a quick meal. We can search the building. We can leave now and continue to run. Well, we don't really need another meal because we have hunting. We already have this meal. So let's go ahead and search the building and see if anything turns up. You search all the cupboards in the cottage, but do not find anything of use or value. Why do we never find anything? Cool. You decide that you have wasted enough time here and must press on without further delay. You have run for about a mile when 3 soldiers appear from beneath a small footbridge. They demand that you halt and drop your weapons and equipment. They are bloodstained and unshaven. Their leader is wearing the tunic of a soldier of the Tauren garrison. We don't have 6th sense, so that's not an option. We're clearly not going to drop our weapons because we don't know who these dudes are. We can prepare to fight them, or we can demand to know what they want. Well, there's no reason to fight if we don't have to, so let's demand and see if we can talk our way out of this. The rough-looking soldier approaches you and says, "Our needs are simple, kind sir. Your money or your life." Clearly, these are robbers. So we can try to fight them, or we can try to run. Clearly want to try to run away, right? We don't have to risk our life fighting these dudes. We should run. Yeah, let's run. Knocking aside the leader, you sprint off along the highway. Then behind you, the ominous click of a crossbow being cocked sends a shiver down your spine. Oh, we gotta pick a random number. 0 to 4, we turn, all right. 0 to 4, we go one way. 5 to 9, we go another way. 3, so we're gonna go here. Instinctively, you duck and dive to avoid the crossbow bolt. Good. The bandit fires, and you feel the sleeve of your jacket tear as the missile grazes past your left arm. You thank the gods for your good fortune and sprint on. None of the other bandits have bows, and they soon give up the chase. As you sprint off into the distance, you leave them all far behind. You stop just long enough to strap up your wounded arm and then continue along the road toward the outer defenses of the capital. As you reach the walls of the fieldworks, the large oak gates open and you are quickly hurried inside. A sergeant, bloodstained and battle-weary, calls to an officer who turns and recognizes your cloak. "My lord," he says, "where are the other Kai masters? We are in desperate need of their wisdom. The Dark Lords press us most cruelly, and casualties are high." You inform the brave officer of the terrible fate of your kinsmen and the urgency of your mission to seek the king's counsel. Without saying a word, he motions a soldier to bring forward 2 horses. You both mount and gallop toward the high city wall of Holmgard. Excuse me. You reach the main gates of the capital and stare in awe at the height of the city walls. 200 feet high, the walls of Holmgard have withstood the ravages of both time and the Dark Lord. You and the officer race through the tunnel of the inner gatehouse, 100 yards in length, and finally halt outside the doorway of the main watchtower. Great crowds of soldiers and civilians are running to and fro. We can continue following the officer or try to find our way in on our own. That doesn't really make any sense to me, so let's just follow the officer. Staying close to the officer, you follow him through an arched portal and up a short flight of stairs to a long hall. Soldiers run back and forth, bearing orders and ornate scrolls. Where's my head getting cut? Sorry about that. Soldiers run back and forth, bearing orders on ornate scrolls to officers stationed around the city wall. A haggard and scar-faced man dressed in the white and purple robes of the king's court approaches you and bids you follow him to the citadel. So we can follow him or return to the streets. Obviously, we're going to follow the guy wearing the king court stuff. You follow the man into a small library off the main hall. He pushes one of the many books on the shelves, which line all 4 walls, and you hear a metallic click. One section of the bookcase slowly slides back to reveal the hidden passage. We can go into the passage or return back to the street. We're going to trust this guy, right? You walk for nearly 10 minutes along a dark and winding corridor, and then start to climb a steep staircase to a small wooden door. The man presses a secret catch on and the door opens. You enter a large, plushly decorated room with a huge marble path that takes up one corner of the room. The man suggests that you refresh yourself here whilst he seeks an audience with the king. You quickly bathe and change into some white robes that have been left out on a large marble table. Shortly, the man returns and leads you through a corridor lined with exquisite tapestries. You finally arrive at a large door guarded by 2 soldiers wearing silver armor. You are about to meet the king. You enter the Chamber of State, a magnificent hall decorated lavishly in white and gold. The king and his closest advisors are studying a large map spread upon a marble plinth in the center of the chamber. Their faces are lined with worry and concentration. A silence fills the hall as you tell of the death of your kinsmen and of your perilous journey to the citadel. As you finish your story, the king approaches and takes your right hand in his. Lone Wolf, you have selfless courage, the quality of a true Kai Lord. Your journey here has been one of great peril, and although your news comes as a grievous blow, the spirit of your determination is like a beacon of hope to us in all this dark hour. You have brought great honor to the memory of your masters, and for that we praise you. You receive the praise and heartfelt thanks of the entire hall, an honor that brings a certain redness to your young face. The king raises his hand, and all the voices cease. You have done all that Summerlin could have asked of a loyal son, but she is greatly in need of you still. The Dark Lords are powerful once more, and their ambition knows no bound. Our only hope lies within Draenor, with the power that once defeated the Dark Lords an age ago. Lone Wolf, you are the last of the Kai. You have the skills. Will you journey to Draenor and return with the Summer Sword, the Sword of the Sun? Only with that gift of the gods may we crush this evil and save our land. If you wish to accept the quest of the Summer Sword, begin your adventure with Book 2 of the Lone Wolf Adventures, which will be Fire on the Water. But that is going to be the end of our adventure for today. I hope you had a good time. I hope you're enjoying the story. Again, make sure you leave a comment about how we're going to handle deaths, because When you're just reading the book on your own, obviously you can just start over and go again. But for production, for video production purposes, we really need to have a way of like recovering that, but it needs to have consequences. So leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, and we'll come back next time for video number 2. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have